For those of you who have been following along for a while, you might have seen us brew some beer, which is now a couple of months ago.
First weekend of April, I think. Last weekend of March. So
yeah. The beer has had some time to ferment initially, and then it's had plenty of time in the bottle as well. And we'll not pretend that we haven't drunk any of it yet.
We really totally have.
But now that it's getting somewhat properly matured as well, we can do a proper tasting session, give our feedback.
I think I'm allergic to beer.
More for me. So let's see how they do. Some of them are a bit lively. They should be okay, but you know.
Otherwise it's...
Let's see what happens. The first beer we have is a Weizen beer. It is a German wheat style beer. It's nice and fresh, ideal for summer which has probably started by now. Doesn't seem too bad. It has a beautiful golden color. Cheers.
Cheers. It is getting better every week. It was a bit thin at first, but now it's been on the bottle for almost 2 months, I think. So it's really hitting the sweet spot. So great to be drinking after a day of really hard work yet again.
Maybe drinking it after a hard day's labour is going to skew the opinion a little bit.
Yes, maybe.
But that's fine.
Yeah. Any beer is nice, I think, after the day that we've had. It's been around 30 degrees and we've been alternating working outside and inside removing tile glue, which is a very, very glamorous job, I can tell you that. And yeah, it's now finally cooling down a bit and really nice. So what we thought we would be doing this video, apart from letting you watch us, drink beer, is to have a bit of a recap of the last 6 months, because it's been 6 months that we have been living here now, and normally we ask each other on holiday, so what was your top 5 of today? But perhaps, René, what was your top 5 of the last 6 months, I'd say? Putting you on the spot, we have no script.
Yes, we have no top 5s already listed. I think one of the best things that has improved right away is just having space again.
And not just a parking space.
After having been in an apartment for 2 years, surrounded by other buildings, in between walls, very little green, it is so nice to finally have some nature and some space around again.
Yeah. That was 1. So what's number 2 in your top 5? Does it need to be in order?
It doesn't need to be in order?
No.
I think the other really big thing is that even though it took a little while and quite a bit of planning, it is really good to finally be properly doing some DIY. After having had a few months of just planning and trying to figure out how to do things, which order to do things, I think the actual start of our DIY is the real is a really big one as well. It gives a lot of motivation to carry on. I think especially in the beginning you very quickly see a lot of difference.
Yeah.
In this case the difference is
we have no kitchen
anymore. But hopefully we get another one of those boosts soon when we actually start building up the kitchen again. Yeah. I think that would be Those would be the two biggest things for me.
I think for me, if I can then, if we just do it together, if we fill the top 5 together, it's the discovery of the land that we've got here, and it is going to be such a steep learning curve. It's already been, but just seeing it blossom over spring and really working in it and trying to, at this point in time, just getting it at a base level. It's been really good, and yeah, the blossom in spring was just gorgeous, and now we are discovering a lot of different fruit trees that we've got. Some are healthier than others. I saw today that our pears are actually kind of growing-ish again.
Ooh.
So that's nice. We might have some pears.
More fruit coming.
Yes.
In the not so distant future.
Yeah. And with that, we've already had some really nice things from the land, which is our cherries, for example. So we had 3.5 kilos of cherries from the big tree, and there's a few more coming from the smaller tree. And
in theory, we could have had a lot more if we had a cherry picker or some way of
yes,
reaching all the other cherries, because there were still so many cherries
yeah,
in the top of the tree, but there wasn't any real good spot to put a ladder as well, and trying to pick them. So in the end, I think the birds were pretty happy with us not picking those,
yeah,
because they have been eaten by now, so they haven't gone to waste or anything.
no.
But in theory, we could have had a lot more.
Yeah, so maybe for next season we need to figure out if we can get something to reach the taller branches. I think number 4, because we're at number 4. I think it's just our little hamlet with our neighbours. It's we've only effectively got 2 neighbours because the house next to us is empty. And everyone has been everyone, all of them, all 2 of them, have been so kind and helpful. And I really have the idea that we everyone's looking out for each other a bit, keeping an eye on things. It's really nice to see that in both cases they are working really hard to restore and keep up the land, like we are doing, especially the ones directly opposite. I think they are in somewhat of a similar situation, that there's been some neglect and that they're trying to get it back on the house itself as well. So they are doing lots of home improvements, and it's just really nice that we are surrounded by people not too close, but that also really want to make sure that this part of the world is well taken care of. And the neighbour just lending us her tractor, or actually she's doing it for us, like mowing the grass. We've got the horses in our olive grove, and yeah, just that little community without overrunning each other, because we're not like every day having long talks and sitting at each other's kitchen tables. But it's been really, really nice that.
Yeah, that's definitely a really big thing as well. The friendly and welcoming neighbours.
Yeah.
Not being completely in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
while still having all this nature around and being up in the mountains easily as well.
Yeah. And I think then number 5 is actually the mountains. Being in the location that we are, just watching the mountain every day. It's so easy to go for a walk, even though the weather has been a bit dire over spring, so we have not had a lot of opportunity. And now obviously we have to balance working on the house and the land and spending some time in the mountains as well.
Yeah, especially we've had a few weekends of having visitors and sort of being forced to go out again and not just do stuff on the house or around the house. It has been reaffirming why we went to this part of the world in the first place. It's also given us motivation, and I mean the improved weather helps as well.
Yes.
to go out and do some hikes ourselves as well in between, and not just
just work.
Not just do the house,
Yeah.
not just work, but enjoy this area as well. And even if that means that the housework takes a little bit longer,
Yeah.
at least we can enjoy and do what we
Yeah.
came here for.
Yeah, that's 5. We made it to 5. Well done.
Done.
Cheers. Well, it's been... maybe we should talk about some lows? I don't know. Some things that we had to get used to, or some things that are... I don't know.
I think the first few weeks were difficult.
Yeah.
We probably underestimated a little bit how the house being empty for so long affected all the operation of things. We initially didn't have power. When it was switched on, it still wasn't working, and we needed some help to get that properly turned on in the house and properly connected. We didn't expect that that getting an internet connection, because we work from home a lot, would take quite as long as it did, although there were some solutions around that, but it's never optimal working on a mobile connection. And the cold was a really, really difficult one in the beginning.
I'll never forget that first night. It was, we were shattered. We had just driven there and back and there and back and there for a whole weekend, unloading, getting everything in the house, and I think by the time we got in it was 11:30, something like that. It was around 0. I don't think it was much more than 0 degrees outside, and we had the cat and we had to let her kind of settle a bit. Obviously we opened a beer to celebrate, yay, we're here, with our coats on, and then we went to bed, and with the winter duvet, with everything that we had on, it was just so cold because we didn't have any working heating yet, because like Renee said, the house being empty for so long, the heating did not work, which was something that we needed to sort very quickly, which in the end also took quite a few days to get sorted.
For the first week or so, we had a fire going just to get a little bit of warmth, and that was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So we basically spent the whole week just in the kitchen, because at least there it would be marginally warmer.
Yeah.
But the heat also disappeared very quickly.
Yeah.
Because of the single glazed windows in the house being through and through cold.
Cold, yeah.
I think that was quite tricky.
Yeah. It was a very long kind of first 2 weeks, especially the evenings, because during the day it was really nice actually outside. It was 14 degrees, sunshine. We really looked out on that. So that was really nice. But the evenings were really, really cold. But as soon as we at least had the heating on and we had our second fire stove, I think that made things a lot better.
Yeah, connecting the second fireplace allowed us to get a lot more heat into the house. And then, not long after that, we got the central heating working. Well, someone got it working for us.
Not us. We couldn't have done that.
No.
Quite
a few parts, and that's part of the fact that the house had been empty for a few years. Some of the parts were just seized up, and they just didn't work.
Yeah.
So it needed a bit of work to get going.
Yeah.
And then we could finally start warming up the house. And then still it took a while before the house started to feel warmer as well. But by then at least we were comfortable.
Yeah.
Because in the winter it can cool down quite a bit here. So are there any other downsides you could think of?
Not anymore, but I really had to get used to the road. When we did the viewing, it was on a really quiet Saturday. We visited again, and it is a rather quiet road, but not as quiet as if you would live like in the middle of nowhere. And especially when you're doing filming and you have to wait to not, so you can actually talk to the camera and make yourself heard. It gets really frustrating, and at some point I was like, seriously, why did we move to such a busy road? And it's, the thing is, it's not a busy road at all. It's just that kind of perception, and maybe because we had been waiting for a year and a half, I don't know, I really had to get used to it. But at the moment, by now, it doesn't really bother me anymore. And it's also just one of the many decisions that we made, because we could have bought something in the middle of friggin' nowhere, but then we would have probably had to drive to a supermarket for at least half an hour or an hour, while now in 5 minutes we are in a very decent supermarket. We actually got like a choice of 3 within those 10 minutes. We couldn't have had like easy deliveries and things like that, and we wanted that. Renee every now and then needs to get to the office. If we had moved further into the mountains, it would have easily added 35, maybe even 45, 50 minutes to your journey, which at this point in our lives we can't really like afford either. So this was one of the compromises. And also, if there's a forest fire, help us, then we are on the road and on the main road really, really quickly. So there's a lot of things that kind of come with that decision. One of them is that, yes, we've got cars passing, and I had to get used to that for a bit, but
Yeah.
I am now.
It was definitely busier than we anticipated,
Yeah.
but for me it wasn't that much of an issue.
You're chilled. I'm not chilled. I'm really not chilled. I fret a lot. I get really anxious around these kind of things. Like, did we make the wrong decision, and things like that? You know, I think also because it was so cold, and we really had a bit of a hard time. I think the first few weeks. But now that we're properly settled, I'm quite happy with the decision that we've made. One of the other things that's got nothing really to do with where we live, it is that we work full time, and that's something that we need to do to pay the bills and to fund all of this and to make sure that we can make it into a nice place. But it also means that it doesn't go sometimes or often as quickly as we would want it to go. Sometimes you feel a bit guilty after work. You think, oh, I really should be doing this now. Oh, I really should be just doing that for a bit. But you're also really tired after 8-9 hours of work. So it's really finding that pace and that balance and trying to not feel guilty, I think.
It's all about trying to find a reasonable goal to achieve. So if you were to say, we want to have the whole house finished by the end of the year, that would just not be achievable.
No.
Especially not doing it, well, effectively just part-time, weekends, and the occasional evening as well. So it's about finding achievable goals.
Yeah.
And that's why we're solely focusing on the kitchen at the moment.
Yeah.
The kitchen is the main goal, and at least with the temporary kitchen setup, we can live around it
Very
reasonably
well.
comfortably.
Yeah. Maybe a bit too comfortable, because maybe if we were a bit less comfortable, things might have gone a bit quicker.
Yes.
But
it's an achievable goal, and hopefully we can get it done this year. But
if not, then nobody dies. Well, people will die, but not because of this.
And we've very consciously decided to go for it this way and not
Yeah.
trying to do the whole house at once, and then having to live either somewhere else, which costs money in itself again, or
Outside
in a
or
caravan, or
yeah.
that would also not be ideal. So making it taking longer also helps with being comfortable while doing it as
Yeah.
well. So it's all a trade-off, and in this case, it means it will take a while before it's all done.
Yeah.
But at least we can do it at a sustainable pace.
Yeah. What are you most looking forward to in the next second half of the year?
We've been focusing a lot on stripping the kitchen, and otherwise it's all still very much planning how the build-up goes again. So I'm really looking forward to getting the first things into the kitchen again.
We might need to order some things for that.
Yes, we need to order some things, but we have some things lined up as well. We have an electrician lined up, and we're in contact with with an installer of heat pumps as well. Those will be big things that need happening at some point that we can't do ourselves. We're trying to do a lot of the prep work ourselves, but there are a few bits that you need professionals for.
Yeah.
Even if even if it's something you could do yourself, it's also a safety issue.
Safety licenses,
and a legal issue as well.
Yeah.
So there are some things that we need to get professionals for.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm really looking forward to starting that build-up phase again.
Yeah, I'm so looking forward to having an actual kitchen again, to having an oven. I miss my oven. I really, really, really do miss my oven. And having more than one hob, that would be nice as well, I think. I'm really looking forward to that.
It's been a bit of a puzzle trying to fit it all together and trying to create a logical order of things.
Yeah. But I think we're still not set on the order. Nothing is set in stone, apart from like kitchen first. That's the only thing. To be fair, we'll probably continue with the utility room because then that temporary kitchen can be kind of dismantled. But then what we do next is still a bit up in the air. Got a bathroom to consider as well, but we will probably save that one for the next summer, so we can set like a temporary shower outside or something like that while we haven't got a shower for a few days. But hopefully by then we'll be expert tilers and expert plasterers, and the bathroom then doesn't need to take 4 months. We did a bathroom in about 2 weeks in our previous home.
We are stripping this one back further and then having to do both the electrics and the underfloor heating install as well. But by then we do understand how the system works. That will definitely help as well.
Optimist.
Can I add a bonus item to the top 5?
Did we forget the windows?
Yes.
Yes, we've got the windows. I was thinking about that.
I think
the top 5 plus 1.
I'm really happy we managed to get the windows done so early.
Yeah.
When we started planning it out, it turned out that it was going to be one of the things we ideally would do before we start building up again. So it was going to be one of the earliest blockers in our progress. And I think it's really, really good to have them in now.
Yeah.
And especially now in summer, being able to overnight open the windows and have the
mosquito
nets down.
Oh, yes.
Allowing the fresh air in without everything flying in as well. It's a big difference. I can also really tell that it'll work in winter as well, but in the summer it's keeping a lot of the heat out as well.
Yeah.
The fact that they don't get super hot when the sun is shining on them means that inside stays a lot cooler as long as you keep everything shut in the summer as well.
Yeah. And it was also the real start of our actual kind of renovation. So to think that we only started the real renovation on the 1st of May, actually, on Labour Day, very fitting. And we're now just 1.5 months on. I think we have done quite a bit. And they did build that kitchen to survive a nuclear blast, seriously. We're now having to remove a few tiles because we finally got the radiator out and it's just impossible. But we'll get there.
Do we have any other plans for the future then?
Well, funny you should ask. Now, obviously, with so much land that we've got and the climate that we're in, we also really want to start growing more of our own food. So we might have been a bit optimistic and thought that we could fit building raised beds and all of that around all of the maintenance work and the starting of the actual renovation. But we did get some stuff now to start some of our first raised beds, and we're going to see if there's anything that we can still plant in June, early July, maybe for a full harvest. But yeah, that's something that I'm really looking forward to starting to growing our own stuff.
Plus, it would be nice to start adding a bit more variety to our trees,
Yes.
to the fruit trees that we have. We have a few different ones, and some of them were a bit of a surprise what they ended up being that some trees in winter
Look very much
very
alike.
similar. But now that they are starting to bear fruit, they are definitely recognizable.
Yeah.
But we want a bit more variety as well. So that's also something
Lime tree. What a lime
we need
tree.
to.
We need a mojito tree. That's what we need. Yeah.
Does it just grow glasses of mojito?
Yes. Straight in, like mint, everything.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I'll have one of those.
And we nearly bought a few trees a few months ago. We were like, well, we have to think about what we do and what we choose, etc., and where we're going to plant them. And we've now kind of identified where we're going to put them. So I think soon we'll just go with it, buy some young trees, lime tree, maybe a.
It is a little bit late in the
one.
season, but
Yeah.
if we give them enough water, we
Yeah.
should be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
People have planted them later in the year as well, so
And they're fine. So
let's see what happens.
yeah, but yeah, really looking forward to that. But hopefully like this whole project, I think we should rename our channel to Hopefully. Hopefully, this time next year we will have got a good variety of stuff going on, of a few raised beds being set up, maybe properly, because the first ones we're going to set up are going to build around the pine trees that we removed, some of the trunks. So it's going to be very, very low budget, very simple, and just to see what it does. And I think that's one of the things that we're trying to do as well. We need to read more books on it, but really follow the idea of permaculture a bit. And in a way, what we're doing at the moment, not rushing into things, really fits into that. Because essentially, for permaculture, the first year in a new place is all about just seeing what happens and what lives, what is dead, how does it all work. And then we'll probably have a better feel of what we can do and what we want to do and where we want to do certain things. So, yeah, not rushing into things has helped us, I think, as
but
well.
It would be nice to at least get a start, get a few things going, and then gradually we can start expanding and probably also very much improving on those designs. But at least if we can get something going, that would be nice as well.
Yeah. I think we did skip one very low point.
Yes, the caterpillars were definitely an issue.
Did not expect that. Bit naive, maybe we should have read up on it. Who knows? But in the end, they didn't come down like to the house or anything like that. So, and now that we know what to look for the next kind of nesting season, we will be able to remove the nests before they actually get into the itchy caterpillar stage. So
maybe not so much in the super tall trees, but in some of the forest at least we can prevent a bit more before they become
a problem.
Yes.
Yeah. And then over time, if we can reforest all of this, all of our land with some other trees, then that would be a big bonus. But overall,
That is a project that will last quite a few years.
yes,
Lots of learnings, lots of,
things to look forward to.
but still plenty of things done already as well.
Like brew our first beer, and we have more beer to brew. Maybe
Yes.
this weekend we can do another one.
We also have more beer to taste, so we
Yes.
better get on with it.
Yes.
This beer, normally it would have had like a 50-50 split between regular barley and wheat. And it becomes quite crisp and clear. Now it came out way too low from where it should have been.
Yeah.
So we did add some sugar this time, something we've not done with this recipe yet.
It does work, I have to say.
It does work, but
Yeah.
for my taste, I think it's a tiny bit too sweet.
Yeah.
It tastes a tiny bit too this dark
Sugary. Yeah.
background taste. For me, it's not
It's not
as
perfect.
good as the previous
No.
ones. So hopefully next time,
Well, I think if we
have to get used to our hand milling system
yes.
as well.
I think if
Hopefully
we
next time it'll be a little bit better. But
yeah, I think if we maybe lean more towards the wheat a bit more as well, I think we need to add in a bit more malt to get it up to where we need it to be. Because the last few of these have been under in terms of alcohol by volume that we wanted it to be. So
the recipe in general just needs a little bit
of tweaking. But
it's still very drinkable.
it's very drinkable.
I am not going to say no to one of these, especially on a day like this.
You could just see it's rained just a bit over the mountains, and now it's completely gone again. It is so gorgeous here. It's so
Of course, you don't get to
No,
enjoy
you
any
get-
of those
no,
views because
yeah.
we get to enjoy them.
Yes,
So trust us.
it's
It is a
really
beautiful
nice.
view.
Yeah. We have been talking for quite a while now, so I really wonder how long this video is going to be. But perhaps we can kind of get to an end and get to sampling our second beer, which is our Belgian blonde called Illegally Blonde. And also this one, we have tried it before. We're not going to pretend this is a first taste. But I think it's been a while now since we've had it, because we do acknowledge that it needs to be on the bottle for a bit. So let's see what we're at now. Oh, it is not. Well, there's a bit of life in it. That's good. It's got a nice head as well.
Sometimes they disappear a bit too quickly, but that's usually the glasses, not the beer.
Not as explosive as the other ones. We did make some measuring mistakes probably with the sugar, so some of them are quite explosive when you open them.
They're enthusiastic.
Yes, just like us. They're bubbly like us.
Cheers.
So yeah, it is getting better as well. It's getting fuller. And our favourite lawnmowers are on their way again as well, the horses. It is turning into a really, really nice beer. And it's a good thing we've got about 2 crates of it left. So
I think it's a little bit fizzier than you would expect from a blonde.
yeah. Well, we've had a few very fizzy ones.
It really does taste like a blonde.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more punchy, but that's fine.
And it's quite clear as well.
Yeah.
So really happy with that. So these are the first 2 beers we've brewed. The first of many, many more. Another project that's on on the schedule is to start growing our own hops, but we do want to do a bit more research on that to make sure that we choose the right variety, and we need to set up some things for that as well, because hops really like to grow tall, and they need some trellises that go proper high, up tall. So I think one thing to acknowledge is that we said we might do a Q&A, but we haven't had a lot of questions, because I think we just say everything anyway. So there's not a lot to guess. We did have one question.
And it is getting long enough, the video.
Yeah.
So
we could at
maybe
least answer the one question that we had, like, officially.
Yes.
Which was from Mega, who asked about our outdoor cinema, because we have got the idea of turning the back of our house into like an outdoor cinema. And her question was, what's going to be our June 25 version of that? And that's just going to be our TV in the living room at this point in time. So yeah, there's no outdoor cinema so far. And I think our neighbour is going to say hi, so this is a really good moment to stop talking.
Yes.
Hello. How are you? You might notice that by now the beer's mostly gone, or Rene's is gone. Mine is mostly gone because I saved something. Our neighbour came to have a lovely chat, and now on Sunday we're going to meet other people apparently, and go for a hike as well. But she came just as we were closing off this video, so we did feel that we had to close off this video like properly.
Yes.
Again, don't know how long this video will be, so I hope you are not here by now for like an hour. If you are, cheers.
But we should not make it any longer than it needs to be.
No.
I think this is about as long as it can be.
Yes.
Hope you've enjoyed a little bit of a look back and a look forward, a bit of an informal chat, and
sampling beer. That was a request, by the way, because we did have some questions like, how did the beer turn out?
Yes.
Well,
they turned out
just fine. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and
see you again next time.
Yeah, see you again next time.
Bye.
Zou er iemand nog kijken?
Wie weet.